emailed the email for casting, like
and
everyone
said what?
else. I said, my name is Monica Fowler, and your show sucks, and your ratings are shit, and it's going to get canceled because you don't have the right cast.
Wow.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 4, Reunion Part 1. And before we get started, let me just tell you that this first part gave me everything that I needed and then some. And I went ahead and watched the uncensored and extended version on Peacock. I recommend that you guys do the same if you haven't already, because you get additional tea. Now, we're going to be going off of the extended version of this reunion because I have so much to say, especially about Monica. And just a quick disclaimer to all the Monica fans out there. You are welcome. I'm happy that you're here, but I just want to give you a quick little warning that I have nothing pleasant to say about her. Other than I liked her dress, she looked good, and yes, she did bring the drama, and she gave everybody storylines this season. That's where it starts and stops for me. But y'all, I have a lot to say, so get comfortable, grab a snack, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. Now we open it up with everybody arriving to set. And I loved how they didn't spend a whole lot of time with the ladies getting ready, because usually that's just such fluff. So it was nice to see them go into their dressing rooms and get right out on the stage, and we just got right into the drama. Now, looks-wise, I thought that everybody looked good. I loved Heather's dress. That orange looked great on her. Her hair looked good. One of her best looks, in my opinion. I liked Lisa's dress. She looked great. I thought that Angie K looked good as well. The only miss for me was Whitney. I did not love Whitney's dress. I didn't like the ponytail. And usually Whitney looks good. So seeing her in that outfit, I felt like she missed the mark. Maybe it's just me, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the cut of the dress, but it wasn't doing it for me. Just my opinion. But overall, I did think that everybody looked good. Now, you could cut the tension with a knife, because when Monica came out to sit down, they were not here for her at all. Heather was making a face like, girl, I gotta look at you for the next 12 hours. So everybody's seated, and now Andy starts it off by saying that they haven't seen each other since Bermuda. They all say that that's correct. And now Monica jumps in and says, well, that's partially true. They've all hung out just without me. So Andy's like, yeah, that's what I meant. Now, the way Andy got his digs in throughout this reunion, I was screaming. And one thing about it, Andy will hit you with that subtle shade. And you know what got me was the slight confusion in Monica's voice when she said that. It almost seemed like she was surprised that they don't hit her up and they're not friends with her after filming has wrapped. It's like, you do remember what happened in that finale, right? They found out that you were behind this account that's been trolling them and their families for the last 3 years. So why on God's green earth would you expect for them to want to be your friend and hang out with you since filming has wrapped? It's almost like Monica is delusional. And there were several times throughout this reunion, I was just like, do you hear yourself? But again, let me not jump ahead. So before they really get into it, Andy brings up Jen Shah. He says, obviously Jen Shah isn't here, she's in jail, but I do want to know, how did you guys feel about filming this season without her? Were you guys worried? Were you not? And everybody says that they weren't worried. And now Heather interjects and says that she actually was worried because she thought that the fans were going to miss the toxicity that she brought and all the drama and all the craziness. And she was afraid that everybody might tune out and not want to watch them without Jen. Let me just add this. Jen Shah was never the star of the show. I think that the vast majority of us found her to be annoying, insufferable, unbearable, aggravating, immature, childish, juvenile, thirsty. So we were never really tuning in to SLC for Jen Shah. The only time that we cared about her was when the whole mess went down about her being a fraud and her going to jail. We were all tuned in about the case. Besides her lashing out at people for no reason, what did she bring to the show? I'll wait. Stolen money, fake purses, fake jewelry. Remember how the feds seized all her stuff and found out that all her stuff was fake? And then that Porsche that she was driving, that was her neighbor's Porsche. So again, Jen didn't bring anything. Now, like I told you guys in the beginning, I watched the extended and uncensored reunion on Peacock. So they talked a bit more about Jen Shah. And so Andy starts asking them, how did they feel when Jen Shah pled guilty? So Andy brings up how this time last year, Jen was awaiting sentencing, she pled guilty, and now he wants to know if the other women felt betrayed finding out that she was guilty. So Heather jumps in and says that it was really hard because their friend was defending her innocence until the day that she went to court. And even after she pled guilty, she was still saying that she was innocent. Lisa co-signs, and she goes on to add that it was difficult hearing Jen maintain her innocence when the evidence is stacked against her and it says that she's guilty. So now Whitney interjects and she says that she always took a stand that Jen was guilty and she expressed that to the group, but she said that if you voice that out loud, then there would be retaliation. So we find out that if anybody questioned Jen and her innocence, Jen would have her trolls get you on Twitter, there would be social media backlash, and nobody in this group was trying to deal with that. And Jen knew who to mess with, because I can assure you that had Jen pulled down anybody else, it would have been a different story. Because I'll be damned if you try to retaliate against me because I feel like you're not innocent, and the whole time I'm right, you're guilty. It's so crazy to think about how Jen Shah really had these women afraid of her like that. Because who is Jen? And the way I would have pulled her card so fast, girl, you could never read me. You're borrowing your neighbor's Porsche, pretending like you have money. You're in that rental. You lied to get on this show. You're wearing borrowed furs and fake fashions with stolen money. I wish you would try to get me together because I don't believe that you're innocent. That wouldn't happen. But like I said, Jen knew who to play with. So we get off of Jen Shah and now we jump right into Monica. They play Monica's montage and now Andy starts it off by asking Monica if she wants to be Lisa. So she's like, no. And I said, girl, are you sure? You guys know how I feel. I do feel like Monica is jealous of Lisa. I stand 10 toes down on that and I will keep saying it. She definitely does want to be Lisa. So now Andy brings up how he thought it was touching when Monica shared how she felt insecure about not having all the labels like the other women in this group and how she felt left out. So he goes on to ask her, why did you feel like that was important to share? So Monica says it wasn't about the bag. It was the fact that as an outsider looking in, these women have it all. They look flawless, they have gorgeous homes, successful kids, happy marriages, and I'm divorced, I'm a whore, I'm a single mom with 4 kids, living in a 3,000 square foot home. But she goes on to say how intimidating this group is and how she feels left out. Now, my thing is this, that's a very sorry excuse to me. Because one, we all know that the premise of the Real Housewives is to showcase rich women, well-to-do women, affluent women, right? We've been watching this show for years now. We know how this goes. So I think that it's BS to say, oh, I just feel so intimidated. These women have it all and here I am with just my little stuff. It's like, well, don't join the show then. And you being insecure is not their problem. And I get tired of people projecting their insecurities on other people. That would be like walking into any designer store like Chanel or Neiman's or Prada or Saks and complaining about how their prices are too high and how it makes you feel intimidated and uncomfortable. they would laugh you out the store. They'd be like, okay, what? It's like Gina on OC. She does the same thing. Like, oh my gosh, well, I feel away and everybody doesn't have that and everybody's not so fortunate. Girl, then why are you on this show then? Like, I'm just not understanding that. And that's why I get so irritated with Monica. And I still stand by what I said earlier on in this season when she was complaining about Lisa being materialistic. You have no right to down her about that when you yourself went out to Louis Vuitton to buy yourself a purse that was $5,000 that you did not have just to keep up. If you truly are not materialistic and you don't care about labels, then it wouldn't matter about the brand of the purse. But obviously you were triggered and you felt a way about it, and you went out and you wanted to get a purse just like the other women so that you could feel like you were a part of the group. Now, here's where it really gets good. Andy goes on to ask Monica, why was she so upset at Lisa being angry and crying about losing her ring? He was like, surely if you lost a ring that was 60 grand, you would be upset too, no? So Monica says, let me clear this up. Lisa had every right to be upset about losing her ring. It was just the fact that she kept talking about the price. She kept saying that it was $60,000 constantly. So now Lisa interjects and she says, no, I only said $60,000 3 times. Everybody processes things differently. And also, John bought me that ring after I had Henry because Henry almost died when he was born. And at one point, I thought that I couldn't have any more kids. So that ring symbolizes our 2 beautiful boys. So Monica says, well, I didn't know that. That's a beautiful story. And now Lisa made a great point. Lisa says, but honestly, it's nobody's business. And I said, exactly. She shouldn't have to explain the reason why she's so sad about losing her ring. And how dare you act like she's obligated to tell you the backstory of why she's so hurt. At the end of the day, nobody's happy when they lose anything. Are you happy if you lose one of your favorite shirts? Like, let's be so serious here. And y'all know how I feel about certain things. I don't feel the need to explain every detail of why I did something. Some things, it's just none of your business. And again, Monica, how dare you act like, well, if you would have told me that, then I would have understood. Girl, stop. So now you have Monica trying to question Lisa even more. And she's like, oh, well, I thought that John had just bought you that ring. I didn't know that you had had that ring for all those years. So Lisa's like, no, girl, I've had that ring for years. That was a gift from John. These rings right here are new, but that ring, that's been with me for a long time. So now she goes on to say, if you think that I'm lying, feel free to call my husband John up and he'll clear it up for you. So now Lisa goes on to say, look, Monica, just because I lost a ring that was $60,000, it doesn't mean that I can't relate to the middle class or that I'm unrelatable or that I think that I'm better because I'm in the 1%. Okay, that's where you got it wrong. And Monica trying to shade saying, oh yeah, I was wrong about that. I researched and you're actually not the 1%. That kind of money is for people like Shaq. So they're all like, girl, what? Now, Lisa, I hate the fact that you're not a reader because the way I would have cleared Monica right on up when she made that comment saying that I'm not in the 1%. Girl, not the same one who ran out and bought a purse that she couldn't afford to keep up with me. Not you trying to read me about, oh, well, I'm not part of the 1%. You're really not that rich. Girl, listen, Monica, you are blessed that you are not on a cast with women who can read. I just said the audacity. It's the unmitigated gall for me. So now we jump into who does Monica think started the rumor about her stealing Lisa's ring? So Monica points to Heather and Lisa. She says, right there on that couch. Lisa and Heather both deny it. And now Monica questions them about why didn't they jump to her defense when the rumors came out that she stole it. Wait, the same woman who had an anonymous troll account for 3 years and only came clean because she was outed by Heather, you have the nerve to ask, why didn't they jump to your defense? Does that make sense to you, Monica? You want them to defend you, but the whole time you've been trolling them anonymously. Like, I'm just not understanding. You're hemmed up in this lawsuit with Heather, but you think that Heather's going to jump to your defense and clear your name that you didn't steal the ring. And a quick side note, did anybody see Lisa Barlow live tweeting the reunion when they got to this part? Did you guys see her tweet? But anyhow, Lisa says, but why should I do that? That's not my job to defend you online. People watch your behavior, Monica. And Monica trying to play the victim yet again, talking about, what do you mean by my behavior? That's just so damaging. It's so stereotypical for you to say that. So Lisa's like, girl, what's stereotypical? And then Monica says, because I have less, then I would steal from you. I was too done. I said, Monica, you will not sit here and act like the victim. You won't. And also, please stop blaming Lisa and Heather for all your problems, because the viewers were the ones to talk about how they thought that you were behind stealing that ring. And the rumors grew even more legs as the season went on. And especially when that finale aired, a lot of folks, because a lot of y'all in my comments in my last recap, you were like, yeah, I definitely think that Monica took that ring. It's all adding up. You have had some very questionable behavior. So again, sis, blame yourself. So now Angie K jumps in to defend Lisa, and she says, Monica, Lisa never said that you stole her ring. So now you have Monica cursing Angie out, and she's like, shut up, you bench-warming bitch. This doesn't involve you. And I was just kind of like, Monica, you're doing too much. Also, stop acting like you and Angie weren't at the same level of desperation to get on this show. And we'll talk more about that later on. But for you to act like, oh, Angie's just so thirsty and this, that, and the third, well, you are too. You were definitely the thirstiest out of all of them to get a spot on this show. So I said not too much calling her a bench warmer. Now, to my Monica fans, I'm very curious to see what you have to say about this next part, because when Andy started questioning Monica about her friendship with Jen Shah, here's where things got a bit interesting. So Andy says, this season, we learned about your relationship with Jen Shah. How would you describe your relationship? So Monica says, we started off as close friends, then I started working for her as her assistant, and then we became enemies. And I said, don't you mean you set her up so that she could go to jail and you could get on this show and take her spot? But if you want to say that you guys became enemies, then so be it. So Andy wants to know more about the job description. What exactly was she doing for Jen? And she says the usual, getting groceries for her, taking her to meetings, you know, the usual personal assistant things. Andy wants to know if Jen was paying her. Monica says no, and I said, girl, you are not that bright, because there's no way in hell that I would be working for free, especially when I have 4 kids. That wouldn't be happening. And even Andy said it. He was just like, so you were taking time away from your 4 kids to work for Jen for free? Like,
no.
So Monica gives this bogus excuse saying, well, we were friends and she needed help, so I said, let me help her out. Time out. If your friend is rich and they need all this help, why would you suggest to offer your services for free? And also, another red flag, why would your rich friend have you work for her for free? That should have been the telltale sign right there that stuff wasn't adding up and that the math wasn't mathing. Because there's no way that my rich friend needs all this help and assistance. I offer my services and she doesn't say, okay, girl, well, how much do you charge? I'll pay you this. And we don't negotiate a salary. And also, Jen already had Stewart as her assistant. He was her first assistant, the only assistant getting paid. So that right there should have set alarm bells like, okay, she already has an assistant. Why does she need so much help? let's just call a spade a spade. You saw an opportunity, and that's why you latched on to Jen. And I love the way Heather clocked it. She said, so you're telling me that it wasn't a Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton situation where you saw that it worked for Kim K, so it could work for you? So Monica's like, no, she was my friend. We were friends. So Heather says, okay, well, I have some audio that I want to play, and it's what you said. So now Heather plays the audio, and we hear Monica say just as clearly as she can, Kim Kardashian was an assistant, and look where that bitch is now. And I can fully admit that me being Jen Shah's assistant was a stepping stone and a learning experience. Everybody's quiet. Monica has nothing to say. I said, so what was that again? That audio showed clear as day that Monica was using Jen for a come up. So Heather jumps in and says, you weren't her friend. You had an agenda. Now, Monica, you said when I met Jen, I had no idea that she was on the show. I just said, this girl thinks that we're dumb. I said, does she hear herself? You just admitted 5 minutes ago that you guys were filming season 1 when you were working for her. Now all of a sudden it's, I had no idea that she was on the show when I met her. But you met her around the time of filming. So you knew that she was filming for a TV show, and you offered up your services to work for her for free. And you admitted in the audio that Heather caught you on where you said out of your mouth that you were trying to be like Kim Kardashian, and you were using Jen Shah as a stepping stone so that you could get on the show. And that's why I'm so confused that so many people stand for Monica. I'm confused. How can you stand for a pathological liar? This was a crazed fan and a desperate wannabe who did anything in her power to get on this show. I don't get it. But I just said, Monica, you're not being truthful and you're playing on our intelligence. You knew when you met Jen that she was gearing up to be on the show. So let's cut the BS about, oh, I had no idea that she was on the show when we met. That's a lie. So now Monica admits that she did audition for the show. And I said, girl, tell us something that we don't know. So now she says, I applied to be on this show like everybody else did. They were all like, oh no, sweetheart, that was you. We didn't have to apply. They came to us. Angie K said, I was referred. I said, I know that's right. So Monica's like, well, whatever. I emailed casting. And Andy's like, oh, you did? So Monica says, yeah, I emailed casting. I said in my email, hi, my name is Monica Fowler. Your show sucks. Your ratings are shitty. And this show is going to be canceled because you guys don't have the right cast. Yeah, that's what I said. The way everybody was shocked. Andy was pissed. He was like, you emailed casting saying that the show sucked and that the ratings were bad? Were the ratings bad? And the way Andy looked, I said, yeah, Monica, if I were you, I would count my days because I will not be surprised if you don't come back. Or if you do come back, you might be demoted as a friend of the show. I still stand by what I said in my last recap that Monica overplayed her hand. Also, Monica, you're not too bright because you don't say everything that you think. And to say, oh yeah, I had emailed you guys way back when saying, oh yeah, the show sucks. You're saying that to your boss? Like, are you serious? She just does too much and she thinks that she's having this iconic moment and she's not. And let's talk about how you lied right then and there. Production pulled your card and they showed the email that you actually wrote. And that's not what you said. You sounded real desperate in that actual email that you sent to Bravo. If you're a Monica fan and you're still listening, I salute you. Because I have been really hard on your girl. Like, when I tell y'all, I wanted to like Monica, and that's the thing. I really wanted to like her. The first episode, I said, okay, cool. But honey, as the episodes went on, I said, something is not right. I said, this girl, This girl is full of it, and she pulled the wool over a lot of y'all's eyes. And when that finale came on, a lot of y'all were in my comments spinning the block saying, oh my gosh, girl, you know what? You were right the whole time. Monica is a fraud. I can't believe that I liked her. I was going at it with you about her, and now look at that. But hey, what do I know? If you want to keep standing for her, be my guest. So now Andy changes gears, and he's asking Monica what happened with her friend who was in the Secret Service. What did he say to her about the whole Jen Shah case? So Monica says, look, he told me, get away from Jen Shah. She's going to prison. So now Andy wants to know, how do you go from being her friend to her assistant to now turning on her to being an informant against her? So Monica says that she called up the federal investigators and she said, I have information on your case. And then she goes on to say, I honestly think that I did the right thing. And did y'all catch that shade that she tried to throw? Saying, and I think that this whole group should have done the same thing. I said, Monica, you are nobody's martyr. You are nobody's hero. So please stop. You are a jealous snake who turned on your friend because you wanted her spot on the TV show that she was on. Let's call a spade a spade. Don't sit up here and act like, oh, well, I did this for the greater good. I did this to help people out. No, you didn't. You said, let me send her to jail, and that way I can get her spot on the show. And listen, what Jen did was undeniably disgusting, and I'm glad that she's in jail. But we cannot sit up here and act like what Monica did wasn't on some snake stuff. Because you sat in that lady's face smiling, you were her friend, you were her assistant, but meanwhile back at the ranch, you're secretly recording her. You have this Instagram account trying to take her down while you're working for her. And then you're also plotting on how to get her spot so that you can be on TV and be on your Kim K flow like you said. Monica is diabolical, and it's clear that she is thirsty for fame and money, and she feels like she will do whatever she has to do to get on. I can't respect that. Now, Andy goes into the whole affair that Monica had with her brother-in-law, and he wants to know, how did the affair get started? She goes on this long tangent about how it happened over a decade ago, and it's not about not taking accountability. It's about not self-shaming because she wore the scarlet letter for years and she got rebaptized in the Mormon church. And I said, what does that have to do with anything? Andy asked you a simple question. How did the affair with your brother-in-law get started? I was dying to know how it got started too. She talked so much about the affair. I wanted to know, well, how did you guys know that you liked each other like that? Who made the first move? Was there some eye contact at the dinner table during Thanksgiving one year? Was there some talk at a family barbecue? Like, let the people know, how did the affair get started and who started the affair? You claim to be so transparent and keeping it 100 about everything else, but now you can't tell us how the affair got started? And again, Andy, I need you to be more firm with these ladies and to say, no, that's not the question. I asked you, how did the affair get started? So Monica starts crying, and now Andy wants to know if she's still in touch with the brother-in-law, and she says no. Then Monica says, let me clear this up. It wasn't his brother. It was my ex-husband's brother-in-law. So it wasn't that close in relation. So Andy's like, oh, okay. So it wasn't that messy, but it was still messy. So now Whitney jumps in and jokes around, and she says, so it wasn't that inbred. And all throughout Monica's segment, I kept saying this woman is very delusional, and she talks out both sides of her face. So now we're off of Monica, and Andy starts talking about the changing dynamics and friendships in this group. And he starts it off by asking Lisa and Meredith about where they stand now. So Meredith says, despite the bumps in the road in their friendship, they're in a good place. Lisa co-signs and says, yeah, honestly, it's like we have a brand new friendship. Now Andy wants to know, where do Heather and Whitney stand in their friendship? And they both say pretty much the same as Lisa and Meredith. It's still love, and they have a brand new friendship as well. So now at this point, Andy brings up how the other women think that Meredith deflects every time they confront her about something, where she'll always pull out an excuse, and Meredith defends herself. She says, while I can see why people would think that, that's not the case. She goes on to say that everybody in this group goes through things and how she respects everybody and their feelings. She gives examples. She brings up when Whitney lost it, when Lisa approached her, when her friend passed away. Then she brings up how Lisa lost it over her makeup not being done for that drag competition in Palm Springs. And she says, I respect everybody else, but when it comes time to me and my feelings, I feel like I don't get that same energy in return. And I can understand why Meredith feels that way, because I notice that when they're all going through things, they'll rush to console each other. But I notice that if Meredith is upset about something, they normally get upset with her or they don't check on her. And case in point, when they were in Bermuda, Meredith wasn't feeling well. She got the worst room in the house. She wanted a bathtub, and nobody wanted to check on her or even switch rooms with her. That was telling, because I feel like if that were Lisa or if that were maybe Heather, they all would have rushed to switch rooms and just make things a bit more convenient. But with Meredith, there is this attitude of, okay, well, you know what? She'll be good. Like, it is what it is, girl. Like, shake it off. So Andy's like, I get that, but still, do you see where the other ladies are coming from, where it seems like you always pull out an excuse every time there's an argument? Even Lisa jumps in. She's like, Meredith, I understand what you're saying, but do you see what we're saying? How it could be perceived that you always have an excuse? And the way Meredith was not backing down, she was just like, no, we all go through things. I said what I said, and I don't have any issue defending myself when need be. You guys have seen me get into it with several people on this cast. When I think it's too heated, I'll walk away and I'll disengage, but I have never had an issue going at it with somebody. Now, I don't know if it was just me, but when Lisa and Whitney got into it, I was like, okay, can we wrap this up? I feel like they spent way too much time on this argument. But we see Lisa and Whitney rehashing their fight. Remember when Whitney had lost her friend and she felt like Lisa wasn't attentive? They start arguing about that. So Lisa says, Whitney, when you lost your friend, I didn't know how to handle it. And when I saw you at the jewelry party and I went up to Heather first and gave her her gifts, and then I went to hug you and you were upset that I asked you how you were doing. And then in Bermuda, you told me that I asked you about it too many times. And honestly, I feel like I was walking on eggshells around you, Whitney. So of course, it's a back and forth. And now you have Lisa bringing up how when she went to Whitney's house, Whitney chastised her. And Whitney says, Lisa, your issue is that you can't take criticism. And I have to agree with that, Lisa, because anytime somebody tells you something, you go off. When you were at Whitney's house and Whitney said, hey girl, can you not yell and curse? My kids are upstairs. I don't want them to hear that. And you got mad at her. I'm like, how are you mad at her? She's telling you the rules in her house. And you getting mad about that proved her point that you do have an issue when you're critiqued. So Lisa denies not being able to take criticism. And she's like, that's not true, Whitney. And I sweep so much under the rug and I give you so much grace. So Meredith interjects and she's trying to play peacemaker. And she says, look, we all have different opinions. We have different experiences, different perspectives on things. And if somebody in this group is hurting, then just ask them what's wrong. So now Andy reads a viewer question asking Angie, why was she so quick to forgive Monica when she was the one going around spreading the rumors that Sean was gay? So Angie says that in the moment, she gave Monica a lot of grace and she blamed Meredith because she was focused on Meredith. Now, one thing that I did know in the finale recap that I did, I really hope that a lot of these women apologize to Meredith, because the way they accused her for damn near everything this season, they accused her of spreading the rumors about Angie's husband, then with the whole DMs about Angie being in the Greek Mafia and not paying her bills. They really do owe her an apology, because Meredith was definitely vindicated this season. But anyhow, I digress. So Angie goes on to acknowledge that she understood why Lisa was so hurt, and now Lisa interrupts. Now, I was screaming because Angie said, "No, honey, I haven't talked all reunion. It's my moment." She said, "Not now, baby gorgeous. It's my turn to talk." I said, "I know that's right." Angie said, "It's bad enough that I'm sitting on the end of the couch and that I barely got any screen time, so it's my turn now." But Angie goes on to say that she was wrong for giving Monica the benefit of the doubt. So Monica starts laughing and she says, "You keep acting like I'm the one who started this rumor." And Andy does point out that while she didn't start the rumor, she was the one who repeated it on national TV. So of course you have Lisa jumping in to express how hurt she was that Angie believed Monica over her. Now Andy wants to know, how did Angie K feel hearing Lisa call her weak and a liar? So Angie says that it didn't feel good. She was upset because she's always been a loyal friend. She's not a liar. So to hear Lisa say that, that was really upsetting to her. So now you have Lisa and Angie going back and forth. Lisa's explaining why she felt that way at the time and how she was just upset with Angie because Angie wasn't honest with Lisa that Angie and Monica had made up. So Lisa was like, "Girl, you're telling me one thing, and the whole time I'm sitting up here looking dumb because I have no idea that you and Monica have made up. I'm thinking that it's the opposite. I felt like I had no reason to be beefing with Monica when you guys had made up." So now Meredith jumps in and she says that this whole entire thing had a major impact on her and Angie, and it did. And I really wish that Angie had been a lot calmer when she had approached Meredith about these rumors versus going in guns blazing accusing her, because this whole entire time you're blaming Meredith when the whole time you have Monica running her mouth to anybody who would listen about Sean having all these boyfriends. Say what you want, but Meredith never said anything of the sort. She never clarified what the rumor was. That was Monica who said, "Oh yeah, the rumor is X, Y, and Z." So I feel like Monica deserves all the blame and all the smoke for this. Andy going on to ask Whitney if she really believes that Lisa makes everything about herself and that she lacks self-awareness. Whitney says yes, and Lisa's like, "No, that's not true. It's just that I speak a different language. I think it's an East Coast, West Coast thing. You guys just don't get it." Leave the East Coast and the West Coast out of this. That has nothing to do with anything. You are just self-centered, and girl, it's okay. Try to do better, but don't sit up here and make excuses saying, "Oh girl, it's an East Coast thing. You don't get it." Miss Mamas, it's not that. Like, let's not. Andy was petty. He said, "So does this make Heather and Lisa bad leather?" So now they change gears in the conversation, and Andy wants to talk about their marriages. So he starts it off with Whitney, and he's asking her about Justin not wearing his wedding ring. And the way Whitney was beating around the bush, I said, "Girl, just answer the damn question." She's like, "Well, it was never about his wedding ring. It was just the complexities of our marriage." I said, "Girl, answer the question. Why did he stop wearing his wedding ring?" So we finally realized that Justin stopped wearing it because he's gained some weight and he can't fit his wedding ring. Now I said, all right, but you're telling me that he can't buy another wedding ring? He can't go to Cartier or David Yurman or Tiffany's and just size up to the next band? So because he can't fit his wedding ring now, that's it? And listen, a lot of y'all let me know that you guys don't care if your spouse wears a wedding ring. That's fine and good. But as for me, I would like for my future husband to wear his wedding ring. That's just me. But I feel like that's a really bogus excuse to say, "Oh, well, he gained weight, so he can't fit the ring." Size up. Go back to the store and get a new one. You guys have the money, so I don't know what the issue is. Y'all, I don't know. I was laughing because it was just so stupid. And I feel like Whitney, in all honesty, is playing us for fools. I'm looking back at it now, and I wouldn't be surprised if Whitney pulled this out of her ass for a storyline. Because we know that Whitney is desperate for a moment and to stay on this show. So I feel like she would be game to fool with her marriage just to have a storyline. So now Andy starts questioning Whitney about her statement that she made about how monogamy isn't natural. And she stands on her statement. She says, yeah, it takes a lot of work to stay married. That's all I meant. Now, again, I watched the uncensored and the extended version of this reunion on Peacock. So they touched on Monica's divorce, and the way I sat up in my seat, I said, oh yes, let's discuss this because I have some questions. So Andy brings up how Monica is officially divorced. The divorce was finalized in October, and he's asking Monica, how does it feel to be free? So Monica says, well, honestly, it doesn't feel any different because we were separated for over 2.5 years, so it still feels the same. The way Andy wanted to know all the tea, he starts asking Monica about the article that he read, that she's been granted $6,000 a month in child support. So he's like, I'm sure you have to be happy. And she says, I mean, I guess it's support. I said, Monica, don't do that. I'm sure you are thrilled to be getting an additional $6,000 from your ex-husband. When Andy brought up Monica's business, he said, Monica, I read somewhere else that your baby clothing line, that business is valued at $0. What's the deal with that? So Monica says, yeah, I had to shut it down completely when COVID hit. Andy was shocked. He was like, you completely shut it down? I would think with the show, you would want to promote it. So Monica says, yeah, I know you would think, but with the show, the way Whitney cut her off, she was just like, yeah, Monica, because I helped you with the photo shoot for your company. Now Heather jumps in and she says, yeah, I bought a whole bunch of blankets for my friends. I never received them though, but I bought a whole bunch of stuff. And I just said, again, she's a grifter. Why are y'all so surprised? She can't do right by anybody. And it really shows you that Monica's not too bright, because if you are selected to be on The Real Housewives and you have a business, why on God's green earth are you not promoting it every single episode? We saw her mention that business one time and that was it. We never heard about it again. I love how Meredith called her out. She said, well, are people getting their stuff now? Because a lot of people online had complaints that they ordered from you and didn't receive their stuff. So Monica says, oh yeah, I know. I had to give a lot of refunds. I said, I'm sure you did. That baby clothing line of hers gave very much She by Sheree. And anybody who watches The Real Housewives of Atlanta, you know exactly what I mean. Because Sheree has no work ethic whatsoever. Sheree has been fooling with that clothing line for 15 years and has nothing to show for it. So now we get to the final segment of this first part, and Andy is asking Angie, how are her and Sean doing after the rumors came out about his sexuality? So Angie says, we're doing well. Then she goes on to say that 30 years ago, people would ask if Sean was gay. They thought he was so handsome. And everybody would say, oh no, that's his wife right over there. So she goes on to say that everybody knew that her and Sean were together. Angie throws that shade towards Monica. She says, honestly, we never heard such things until this rat came out of the sewer. Monica trying to shade Angie about the rat read. I said, okay, but Monica, your reads aren't much better. The only reads that you have in your arsenal are age shaming. You're always saying that Lisa is old. That's the only read that you've got. And it falls flat because I've seen Lisa in person. I've met her and she looks good in person. So you're not one to talk about somebody's reads not landing, because your reads don't land either. Plus you lie and you're fraudulent. So Monica being even more delusional, saying that she hasn't been mean to Angie K. And I said, did we not watch this same season? Do you remember when you yelled at her and cursed her out? I think it was in episode 4 when you guys were in that Sprinter van in Palm Springs going to the club. I didn't forget that. You completely snapped. For no reason, I might add. You got into it with her at her own house for the Greek Easter party that she threw. So now Andy turns to Meredith and he goes on to ask her, what was her motivation about dangling the carrot about the rumors and nastiness regarding Angie K's marriage? So Meredith says, well, first of all, I never said that I had rumors about her marriage. So Andy's like, well, I mean, one could assume that you were talking about her marriage because you were talking about her husband. So Meredith and Andy are low-key going back and forth. Meredith ends up reading what she said that night, and she says, see, I never said anything about her marriage. And honestly, Meredith was playing semantics because whether you said husband or marriage, we all know that Meredith was alluding that she had some information about Angie K and Sean's marriage. We can all agree to that. Andy was not having it. He said, Meredith, what's the difference? So she says, the difference is there can be rumors about her husband that have nothing to do about her marriage. Andy was over it. He was like, okay, girl. I said, y'all forget that my girl is a lawyer, so she knows how to spin stuff. So now Meredith goes on to say that there are rumors about all of them in this group and it's not that deep. So now Andy wants to get Angie K's opinion. And Angie says, look, it's not right to do this to people who have families and businesses, spreading rumors like this that can hurt people. And then she goes on to say that she's a pillar in the SLC community. And I said, well, that's good to know. It's clear that Meredith and Angie most likely will never have a friendship. Meredith says, girl, I don't want to hear it. You were out here calling me a fraud, saying that I have a personality disorder, saying that you were going to put a hit out on me and my family, saying that my son was a pawn. And by the way, you said that you made me relevant. Like, really? So Angie says, well, actually, I did get you activated this season. And I said, Angie, I like you and all, girl, but let's take it down a few notches. Okay? You got a bit too much dip on your chip because one, Meredith has been on this show since season 1. You got on this show as a friend of last season, and you finally became a full-time cast member this season, okay? Meredith Marks has been doing just fine without you. So again, says not too much saying that you made Meredith relevant and you got her activated. So now Andy goes on to address Angie K's comment when she said that Meredith spreads her legs to other people while being married. And Angie says, well, I had heard some things that when Meredith and Seth were separated, that they were dating other people. So now you have Meredith getting upset and she says, I think it's so shameful that as a fellow woman, you're going to use my marital struggles to weaponize against me. Now, Meredith, here's my thing. You can't act like you're completely innocent in this fight between you and Angie K. You've gone low, she's gone low, it's been tit for tat. And Angie even said that. She said, girl, you say things about me and my marriage, I respond back. That's how it goes. And I agree. I have to call a spade a spade. I have to be fair. I like you and all, but you can't sit up here and act like because Angie returns the same energy that she's evil. So now Andy reads another viewer question addressing Whitney and how Whitney low-key got Monica to do her dirty work by repeating the rumor on camera. So Monica jumps in and says, let me just say that Whitney is not to blame. I own what comes out of my mouth. And Whitney says, thanks, Monica, I appreciate that. So just when you think that we're going to end this first part on a good note, we don't. Angie jumps in and she's like, Monica was determined to get this rumor out on national TV during the first week of filming. She went and told everybody. So Monica's denying everything. She's screaming at Angie. Angie's like, shut up. It's my turn to talk. It's my moment. So now you have Monica trying to read her, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's finally your moment. You finally got on this show 4 seasons later. And I said, but the gag is you also got on this show 4 seasons later yourself. So how are you trying to read Angie? And again, Angie was on this show last season. She was a friend of, and she was at the reunion. So it's not her first season. It's her first season as a full-time housewife with a snowflake and a tagline and a bumped up salary. But she was on this show last season too. Also, sis, she was referred to be on this show and you applied. So you guys are not in the same category. And I loved how Andy quietly clocked you. He said, but Monica, she could say the same thing about you.
I'm gonna just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
And the way Angie had me screaming, she said, girl, I deserve to be here. I checked off all the boxes. I said, okay, Angie, let her know. So she goes on to say, meanwhile, you have your Range Rover under a carport. I said, oh my gosh. I said, baby, they activated Angie. I said, Angie said she's going to get a read in before the cameras turn off. Then she goes on to say that Monica was over there spending her kids' money on a purse. I said, ooh. So we ended with Monica screaming, saying, keep my kids out of your mouth. And I said, she wasn't speaking about your kids. Speaking about your kids is saying your kid's name and then saying something negative about them. She literally said you spent your kids' money on a purse. That's not speaking badly about your kids. That's speaking badly about you. What's not clicking? Either way, Angie said that she's going out with a bang, and she did just that, because the way I cannot wait for part 2 next week. I said, Salt Lake City, y'all did that. And please check out the extended uncensored version on Peacock. No, they're not paying me for this, but when I tell y'all, it was just that good. But y'all, that's all I have to say about everything. If you're a Monica fan and you watch this whole video, hats off to you. You a real one. Because the fact that you sat here and you listened to me really just go in on your girl, I mean, I have got to give you props. I will always give credit where credit is due. But yeah, part 1 was given what the other girls were supposed to have gave in the words of the iconic Rolling Ray. And with all that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.